So guys, welcome back. How's everyone doing? Everyone excited? All right, I think you're going to love today. And the reason you're going to love today is because we're going to show you how to multiply yourself. How would you like to have lots of little mini-me's running around going like, ooh, will it work for you? Wouldn't that be fine? Not those kind of mini-me's. Not those kind of mini-me's. Child labor is now illegal, by the way. So let's start the whole day off with a little review of where we're at. We start off with basically nothing, right? What happens after that? What's the first thing that you really want to be looking at? Is right. You have a little chat with a business guru just to figure out where you're going on. That's kind of what you're doing in here, isn't it? Then you build your office, right? Now, I encourage all of you guys to grab a blank sheet of paper and follow the map and draw your own map as you go along. This will make life a lot easier for you. If you need paper, there's a box over there stuffed full of paper. If you put your hand up, James, I'm sure will be happy to come and bring you some. All right, so once again, we have a little chat to the business guru, and where do we start? By building an office, correct? Yes. Right? Have you all got your offices all on your sheets of paper? Yes. Excellent. What's the next step? What does Johnny have to do now? Go through the marshes. So there the marshes are. Ooh, scary. And what happens in the marshes? Market research. Someone give me one example of market research, quickly. Google search for hypnotherapists in your local area. This is starting to get very simple routine now, right? Okay, so he works his way through the marshes. Where does he go? The village, right? There's the village. Beautiful. Go ahead and draw your village and your marshes, please. Everyone got the village down? What does the village represent? The client profile. You got to have empathy. You got to make your clients, your ideal client, you create a profile, an avatar for that, and you make them your best friends. So you know them inside out, right? What happens after that? Where does he go next? That's right, over the hills and far away, and there are the markets. Ba-ching, ing, ing. There you go. So go ahead and draw the farmers markets, folks. What does he have to do in the farmers markets? What's the first thing he has to do? What's the first step? Yep, he's got to talk to the gatekeepers, he's got to get to the owners and persuade each owner of a farmer's market that it's in his or her best interest to let Johnny have a little song and dance, do a lecture demo in front of their customers, their clientele, the people that they see, right? Give me an example of one thing you can say to a business owner or an owner of a farmer's market. I can do a demonstration of what? So I can do a quick induction for your people. And why would it be of interest to me as the owner that you do a quick demonstration of induction to his people? So that shows that you're competent. Great. Now, what's in it for me as the owner? This is the key idea. Thank you. So your students, your clientele will find coming here more interesting because you're exposing them to interesting stuff, right? Do you see how that works? It's very, very important when you're talking to your owners, you don't look from your own perspective from what you want, not even from the client's perspective from what they'll find interesting, although that's a much better step. You must always look at it from the owner's perspective. What is in it for them? Why should they care about you presenting to their audience? Does that make sense to everyone? If you cannot make that connection, if you cannot connect those dots for them, they probably won't allow you in, and that's basically the key idea for getting into the whole lecture demo strategy. Make sense, everyone? Yeah? So the owners have said yes, they love you, they want to bring you right in. What do you do then? Not yet. Oh, actually, yeah, we can build the road, but the main point is to do a song and dance in there, right? So there's a song and dance, but you're quite right, because you're going to do a song and dance, which is your lecture demo, you also have to build your road. So let's talk about the song and dance first quickly, and then we'll build the... Actually, we'll leave the road there for now. Give me one example of something you can demonstrate, something you can do as a group experience, or a gift you can let them take home with them, for which you will teach them during the lecture demo. Someone, go ahead in the back. So the MP3 is about the road. I'm talking about the actual lecture demo. So you're going to be teaching them something. And the three key things you want to do when you're teaching something is demonstrate something, do something with them as a group so they experience it for themselves, or give them a hypnotic gift and a trick, a tool, a technique they take home to extend what they're doing here. Make sense, everyone? Group relaxation induction is one of the simplest things you can do, right? Even those of you who've got no experience of hypnosis have already seen earlier on, remember on the second day, we gave that little 5-minute hypnotist tour, right? If you do nothing but that with an entire group, they will pretty much zone out, right? As long as you stick to themes like comfort and relaxation and happy memories, note, right? Let's not be evil hypnotists here. So that basically is the emotional buy-in from the audience. Your lecture itself, the content, sure, that'll be interesting stuff, but it's the demonstration and the experiences that will sell. That's the clincher for them, right? So then you have to build the road, which is your infrastructure for creating a relationship, right? This is the relationship road. What do you do with the relationship road? You follow it. Remember? Follow the relationship road. Come on, everyone. Follow the relationship road. Follow the relationship road. That's what builds your business, right? So what happens then to make the whole transition easier? Because you could go and knock on everyone's door one by one and build a relationship. That's a lot of effort, isn't it? So what exactly? The velvet ropes automate the whole process, and that's where your idea of giving a free gift comes in. That allows you to appeal to their self-interest and say, give me your email, I'll give you this free gift, and I'll email it to you straight away. And that way you can let your autoresponder build the relationship, which frees up your time to do other things, because let's face it, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you need to do, right? Correct? So far, so good, everyone? Yes. Give me an example of something that you would put into your relationship road. In other words, seeing as we're combining that with the velvet rope, the autoresponder sequence, what could you write into an email? A fascinating fact. Give me an example of a fascinating fact. Someone? Tiger Woods used self-hypnosis to become great. Anyone want to be as great as Tiger Woods? Yes. Learn some self-hypnosis. You know where you get it? From me. Or from you, right? Do you see how that works? So what happens next? So he's doing this. Now, right now, before we go any further, we have a solid business, don't we? We can now make a stable income. We can feed ourselves. Our children are no longer begging on the streets. And our wives and or husbands no longer need to wrestle alligators for a living, right? What happens next? What is the next step that Johnny takes? What did he discover now on the road? The princes, exactly right, right? So here are the princes. And he's a smart fellow. He's already done all the hard work with the owners, so he knows how to build a relationship. There we go. And he knows he's going to build the roads and the velvet ropes. So all the infrastructure is already there for him. He just has to extend it to fit those particular people. And of course, the relationship with the princes, give me an example of the kind of conversation you would have with the princes, the referral partners, to turn them into a referral partner. Give me an example of something you have to say.
How can you double your business?
What do you need so that your business can double next year, right? So what is the key idea here? You're looking at it again. It's what is in it for them? How can I serve you? How can I help you? And in return, of course, you'll help me, right? Now, with a lot of princes, for example, doctors, the fact that you're solving their clients' problems that they can't solve is already helping them. They'll be happy that you are helping their clientele, their patients stop smoking, because they can't stop them smoking, right? For others, there might be more of a reciprocal agreement, but you must reach that agreement. Make sense? And you have some simple tools to have that conversation, don't you? I strongly recommend, by the way, how many of you guys have already got a coaching partner from the seminar here? 1, 2, 3. We only have a day and a half left, or actually 2 days left. So really, I strongly advise that you find someone here to partner up with, to get a coaching partner, to keep you honest, to keep this stuff going afterwards. You'll call each other once a week, and you'll say, my plan for the week is to do these things. Next week, you'll do a report back and say, did you do those things? Yes, I did these things, but I didn't have time for those things. Okay, what are you going to do about them? Well, I'll do them tomorrow. Email me when they're done. It creates a lot of accountability, and that is a phenomenal thing for you to keep momentum going. And of course, you'll reciprocate for them in the same role. Does that make sense to everyone? Right? I'm not going to force you, like, you're adults, right? But I will tell you this, you would be very foolish not to team up with someone in here and have the free resource of someone consistently keeping you on track to build your six-figure income business, right? Without that, can you build a six-figure income? Of course you can, but it'll be a lot harder. It'll be hard enough with a coach assisting you. There's still no guarantees, right? but the chances of you reaching that level are much higher when you have that kind of assistance, that constant reminder that you have to remind or tell someone, here's what I've achieved, and or here's what I failed to achieve. Now I'm going to have to try harder next time around. Make sense, everyone? There's a quick question back here. Mm-hmm. So she was sharing with us, there's a study that says that when people have this kind of reciprocal support, this accountability mechanism, something like 90% of people achieve their goal. I haven't heard of the study. I would not surprise me in the least. So if you have a reference to me, that'd be great, so I can look it up and maybe share it with people. Great. Well, I'll see if I can share it with people then, because that'll be kind of useful. But even if it's not a 90% percentile success rate, it's still going to be pretty damned high compared to what you can do on your own, right? So you would be foolish to waste the opportunity you have right now to be able to get in touch with people in this room and make the agreement with someone. It's a simple agreement to make, to keep each other honest, to keep each other on track, right? Yes. So they're the princes, they love you, you've had the conversation, they're going to start stacking up your referrals, they'll send them your way, all things are good, all things are sweet, right? Now at some point, you're going to have more work that you can cope with, right? You're seeing people one-to-one. That means you have a physical limit to what you can do. You have to sleep at some point, and even if you weren't sleeping at some point, there are still only so many hours in the day. Time is the only resource you cannot extend, right? If you can extend time and you can do a kind of weird time warp, so in two places, one, let me know. I will be your student. I would love to learn how to do that. I could use with a way of doubling up my time or even tripling it, Send a little, you are stuff because you're the worker. I, on the other hand, I'm going to the beach. See ya. Yeah, exactly. As soon as I figure out how to do that, I'll be right there. So what we need to do is figure out ways of multiplying Johnny's ability to interact with clients. And what do we do for that? We create, first of all, advertising will get more clients. So the first thing we can do is build a shop. Oh, actually, there's the town crier. Sorry. What does the town crier represent by anyone? The town crier represents your phone process. Whether you're running it yourself or, in time, you hire someone to run that phone process, when clients come in, the town crier is answering questions, it's handling concerns, it's treating people with respect. So the whole point of him is to increase your conversion rate by giving the information that people need and allowing that sense of interaction, that sense of building a rapport that they want. Does that make sense to everyone? So the town crier is a very important figure, and of course, you have a process for that now as well, don't you? Right? So then, he builds a little shop. Do you see a little shop up there? What does the shop represent? Anyone? Okay, let's try that again. What does the shop represent? Everyone? That's right. The beauty of our products is you spend your time once doing them, and then you can just replicate them infinitely, especially with modern technology. You no longer need to have a room full of monks writing out books and copying them and doing funny pictures and having little devils biting an apple and whatever. It doesn't take that long anymore, right? Computers will do that for you. It's easy, it's quick, it's efficient. One-time use of your time and instant replication. It's a beautiful system, right? But what else can Johnny do?
School.
That's right. He builds a schoolhouse. And there's two things he can do with that. One is, and there's the reason we have a little moon there, a little night symbol, which means what? Night classes. You can have like group hypnosis sessions. By the way, they don't just have to be in the evenings. They can be like lunch breaks and stuff like that as well. But the evenings typically are the most successful because people can do that after work. It's kind of like it's like a mental yoga session, basically, right? The same idea, though, the same idea of bringing groups together can be expanded or elaborated on into a seminar process, which is what the little mortarboard hat is all about, right? You can teach them some stuff. Simple things like self-hypnosis, right? Or you may want to teach them a little goal-setting strategies. Some of you may come up with simple processes. Joe and I just talked about recently how to take the stop smoking session and how to expand it into a group stop smoking program over the course of a day, right? And Joe, being Joe, was excited and is now going to do it as soon as you go home, right? So these are all things that fit into your seminar profile, right? And we'll talk about how to put on seminars and so on. In terms of the actual what you talk about, do you not have a process for that already? Right? The lecture demo can be scaled infinitely. You can scale it over 5 days, or you can scale it down to an hour. It doesn't matter how much you have. You just basically run the middle portion over and over and over again, right? And that's easy, isn't it? So now we have lots of ways for Johnny to replicate himself. So now he basically be in 4 places at once, which is nice, right? So what's the next step? What happens now? We find the highway, right? The King's Highway is basically mass markets, mass media. And then what we do with mass media, of course, is we advertise. In order to improve your advertising, you need to master the art of, right there, copywriting. The little pen is the ability to write better copy. Now, you have a process for writing copy, do you not? Yes? You have a process for investigating which kind of media you want to go into, whether it's online or offline, whether it's print or video or radio, right? And you have different strategies for getting into these different places, sometimes for a fee, sometimes for just some good, honest effort, right? So you really have the whole game plan for creating a 5 to 6 figure income, right? Who feels good about this so far? Yeah, I feel good about it too, right? So really the only thing what we haven't discussed, which is on that treasure map, which is your game plan for success, is the little stuff that happens in the background there around Johnny's heart. So that's it. We'll just regress a little bit. This is like the fast phobia cure. You're going all backwards and in reverse. There we go. Oh, no, come forward again.
There.
There we go. So those 3 items, which is actually those 4 items, will show you how to increase your performance with the heart as well, which is the one-to-one sessions. Those 4 items are the places in which the rubber meets the road. That's where you convert all your hard work in building a business into doing the work that allows you to actually have cash. Everything we've talked about so far is about building your business, getting interest, getting clients, and all the rest of it. But having a list is no good unless you convert that list into clients. And to do that, you've got to offer them something. You've got to do something with them, right? And these are the 4 core things that you can do as a hypnotherapist. And actually, to be honest with you, in most businesses, they can do a version of this, right? You can teach them something, you can sell them something, you can show them something, you can do something with them, essentially, right? So who'd be interested in exploring those 4 options today? I'm glad to hear that because, like it or not, that's what we're going. So, Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about the role of products, or do you want me to jump into it? Up to you.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So, what do you guys think the role of products is? They have to do work now. What's the role of products in a hypnotherapy or a coaching practice? Over here, can we have mics ready, actually?
I believe the role of products as a hypnotherapist would be to create things that are complementary to what you're doing inside the office.
Right. Think of it this way. A product is the ability for someone to take you home and listen to you on their own terms.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, you can't do house calls all the time. Like some of you are asking about doing hypnotherapy at home. With products, with CDs, I totally recommend it. Right? Send your mini-me out there. Let them keep you. Let them put you in a little cage for all you care. You know, they can chain you up and do all kinds of stuff with those CDs because that's your mini-me out there. Let them suffer. But the beauty is, yeah, I have a twisted mind, I know.
Yeah.
But the beauty of a product is, once you've spent the time to create it, and it takes them maybe a little bit longer than doing a session to create it, but really not that much, then you can print as many of these things as you want to, as cash flow allows, and they can buy, they can take it home. For a client, it's a good thing for 2 reasons. Number 1, if they've already had a session with you, it gets to reinforce some things. If they can't get a session with you because you're too busy or they can't afford it, it allows them to afford you at a much lower rate, right? Is it as good as a one-to-one session? Of course not. There's no substitute for that. However, they're not paying the price of a one-to-one session, and they don't have to come all the way into town for the one-to-one session. So there's that trade-off that's going on. Make sense to everyone? So who would be interested in a... Go ahead.
Question back there.
Oh, there's a question over here. Can we have the mic sent back over there?
I was just thinking one other thing that it does is it provides a low buy-in for them to test us out.
100%.
Yes.
100%. Now remember, your list is made up of what people call prospects or leads. Same word, different, same meaning, different words. Basically, these are people who are interested in you, but haven't made one crucial step yet. You know what that step is? They haven't paid anything. Now, here's the funny part. There is a huge psychological barrier between just being on the list and paying something to be a client. If that barrier is even a penny, 1 cent, you've breached the barrier, right? It's strange. Someone who's willing to spend a cent will spend $1. Someone spends $1 will pay $10. Someone spends $10 will pay $100, and so on, right? Now, they won't necessarily all go up to $10,000. Some will, guaranteed. Some will pay you $10,000 for something very exclusive because they can afford it and because they appreciate what you have to offer. Others can't afford it or they don't appreciate it enough, which is fine. Everyone will find their level within the ranks. And the beauty of our products, I'll come to you in a minute. Can you bring the microphone forward whilst we're doing that? Over here. The beauty about products is it's a low threshold of entry. It's easy for them to get into it. So they get used to this idea of the transaction. I provide value in the form of cash. I receive value, in this case in the form of CDs, and later we up the value so that you get one-to-ones or seminars and so on. Do you see how that works? So yes, beautiful insight. Go ahead.
I can totally vouch for that actually, because one of the first, actually the first thing that I ever purchased from Igor is the $1. I don't know, they were like the affirmation
The $1
type
interaction,
things.
yeah,
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I purchased, and I went on to do CHPH. Here I am, trainer's training. So
Yeah.
even one single dollar will take a lot of your clients to the next level.
It opens the floodgates, the cascade, right? So products are a really useful thing to have, both for the cash flow side of things and to start increasing your conversion ratio from the people on your list into your client list. So it's almost like two different lists, right? There's those who might be a client one day, the leads or prospects, and converting them into actual clients, that $1 breaches a major psychological barrier, right? So it's a very useful thing to be able to do. Now, don't price all your products at $1. That cheapens you, right? That's no good at all. But if you want to have one product at $1 and just say, look, I'm doing it at $1 because I want everyone to be able to afford it and it's a useful thing, like maybe a simple relaxation CD or something like that, it's a great starting point if you want to have a simple strategy. Or you can go straight to the $20, $30, $40 price range if you want. There is, people are willing to risk anything up to $50. People tend to be willing to take risks with that kind of money because if it fails, if it goes wrong, they won't feel so bad about it.
Using a social coupon site for something like that as well is an incredibly beautiful idea.
I think that's what Joe was already talking about before. Because now, let's face it, you can't get flooded with lots of people, doing one-to-one hypnotherapy at $10 a pop. It's like, oh my God, I've got my next 2 years sold out, and I'm now on slave wages, right? You won't get stuck in that because now you're selling your $30 CDs, $40 CDs for $20 on Groupon. You get $10. Even if you get only $1 from it, even if you sell your $20 CD for $5 and you get $2 yourself, no matter. These are people who have paid money. They've paid money to be on your list. These are proven clients, and they will buy more. It's totally worth it. And this goes right back to what Joe was saying yesterday about how most hypnotherapists totally misunderstand the business opportunity presented by places like Groupon and other deal sites because they think, oh, more clients. And it's the wrong mindset. I'll give you a quick example of this, if I may. I think you might appreciate this story. There's a company, I don't know, let's say they sell different colored widgets, right? And they're doing okay, but they decide to take their best-selling item and double the sales team to really start lifting profits. It makes sense, doesn't it? Double the sales team, they're cranking through the sales, and crisis hits. They find they're starting to lose more money. They're like, oh my God, what's going on here? So they ramp up the sales team, they're really getting excited, they put in all kinds of motivational bonuses, and double it again. But they're now getting into real trouble. I mean, they don't know where the ship's leaking, but despite their best efforts, things are going downhill fast. Eventually, they bite the bullet and bring someone like Joe in to find out what's going wrong. So Joe runs around, not this Joe, of course, but it's someone like Joe, runs around and does all the measurements and looks through all the business formulas and so on. We'll show you a very simple version of this tomorrow. He discovers that the accounting department made a mistake in their accounting process. So now they're selling these widgets at a slight loss. So the more of these things they sell, the more they're bankrupting themselves. And people constantly do this in business. They think, this is popular, let's do more of it, and they don't take a step back and ask themselves strategically, what am I trying to achieve? It's all well and good, by the way, to sell widgets at a loss in order to get clients pumped in to a system and then convert those clients into more expensive products afterwards. It's called the loss leader. Very sensible. But now you're doing it strategically, and you have a system in place to make it happen, versus doing it randomly and going, what happened? Do you understand where we're going with this? So again, products is a great way of doing that sort of stuff. Once again, go ahead.
In Canada, we have a coffee shop company called Tim Hortons.
Wonderful place.
Just recently, they came up with this amazing scheme to raise the prices of their coffee, or just their drinks in general. And what they did is they created an extra small size and called it the new small.
Yeah.
And so now all the regular drinks that people would normally buy are now a size up.
Yeah.
So that every time now you buy a medium, you're actually paying a little bit more for a large.
Right.
And it's the size of a large.
But basically, when you buy a medium, you're actually buying what used to be a small, right?
That's right.
So there's all kinds of reframes you can play with it. But you get the idea of where products become very useful, yeah? So who'd be interested in finding out how to make these things? Anyone?
Oh, me,
all
me,
right.
me, me.
This stuff, a lot of stuff in this session will be in your resource guide, so we'll just run through it quickly. Let's do this. Actually, let's do this as a group. Thank you. What do you think might be somewhere, if we had a top 10 list of themes in hypnosis that people would be interested, problems they'd want to solve with hypnosis, what do you think might be in that top 10 list? Anyone? Insomnia. Beautiful. That's a lovely one.
We're going to play Family Feud.
Yeah. And on the list it is, ching, number 3. Okay, I heard someone saying weight loss. That's an absolute classic. Smoking is the other classic.
Stress relief back there?
Huge. Stress relief is massive.
Phobias?
Oh, it's going down again.
Yeah, it doesn't like you.
No, it's like,
fine
no,
with me.
I want shrinking. It's the Wicked Witch of the East, and I'm so pure, it shrinks away from me.
Oh, that's what it is.
Reframes are everywhere. What were we saying again? Oh! Okay, maybe I'm the Wicked Witch of the East. Sorry. Please stay large. No. Watch this, Jedi mind trick. All right.
Pain relief.
Okay, let's try this way. And up it comes. There we go.
it goes.
Stand up straight.
Hey, there's another pen under there.
That's where you're hiding.
Yeah.
You're getting greedy on me, aren't you? Sorry, I'm now anthropomorphizing. So, what was the next one I heard someone saying?
Phobias.
Phobias, yes. For phobias, let's put anxiety in general, because fears in general are a big field, right? Confidence is actually kind of related to anxiety, if you think about it, right? They're kind of related. You can do them separately. People will buy them 2 items at the same time, so you can always do separate items.
Double your sales.
Double your sales, exactly. And it's actually doubling value as well, because one looks specifically at addressing the fear part of it, and the other one looks specifically at building the expectation of success part of it, right? What else might be in that list? Public speaking. Now, that's kind of a specialist version of anxiety, isn't it? Right? We'll call it public speaking, PS, right?
Depression goes into anxiety.
Depression can go into anxiety, but you can do depression as well, sure. Fear of flying, beautiful one.
That's a fun one.
That's a classic phobia that you'll get a lot of, right?
What about sports performance?
Performance enhancement in general, yeah, and sports. Actually, let's go sports. In particular, if it's something like golf, right? Golf is a huge market for golfers have cash and they're willing to spend it, right? If you doubt me, go to a golf course and see the ridiculous clothes they wear only on the golf course. Need I say more?
Pain relief.
Pain relief,
Addiction.
tests. Now, let me just take a little time out here. It is not difficult to come up with a list of potential products, is it? I mean, I asked for 10 and we've already got to about 12 or 13. In your resource guide, you'll have a little sample of these things. And to be honest with you, most of the stuff on here is in here. There's a few different ones as well, but it's not like an extra 2 minutes of brainstorming won't get you to that point as well. Can we just grab the mic over here?
Coming up with and offering these different various things,
Sure.
Does that hurt your perception as a niche specialist?
Not in the least, because you're not advertising these at large. Remember, the niche is about bringing people in. Okay. This is my message to the world. This stuff is for your actual list, which is, by the way, we also do this, right? Each one of these products will be a campaign. You now have 10 potential campaigns that you can run. Now, for these things, because they'll be later on in your relationship road, you may not necessarily run a 7-step campaign for each item. You may only say, for the CD, maybe three campaigns. Have some general value-building items, which have nothing to do with this, just to maintain your list. And then the campaign for the actual insomnia CD might be to say, send 2 CDs, 2 or 3 emails out saying, we saw recently in the news that people are getting stressed and can't sleep properly. If you're having trouble sleeping, click here and find out how you can resolve it. And a few more other items. So you can have shorter campaigns for each one of these ones, and now you basically have a nice simple business going constantly. There are people online who only do this, right? But then you need to understand the whole online game a bit more. I don't recommend you start there unless you really know that sort of game, in which case, what are you doing here, right? So does this make sense? It's very simple to kind of organize yourself this way. Can we have the microphone over here, please?
Would you then recommend making just the one tape first, then doing the whole campaign around it as that campaign runs and is going, then start the second?
Yeah, that's not a nice way to do it. Unless, of course, you find, I'm going to show you a process how to make hypnosis CDs in a moment. And if you find it so simple, you can just take off a couple of days and do them all because you're enjoying yourself, then you might do that too.
So, but
right?
even then, still get the whole lot, possibly have them on one website,
even
just
if you
the
have
one campaign at a time for a product.
One campaign at a time, exactly. What you can also do, this is a little more advanced if you want to go down that road, and we've done this, you can bundle them together. For example, you can create the Super Confidence Pack, which will deal with anxiety, confidence, and insomnia, right? And your emails will talk about how, we'll fix everything, and maybe stress thrown in there as well. You'll get 4 CDs. The first one handles your anxiety. The second one handles your stress, your anxiety doesn't come back. Then we'll make sure you sleep well, because when you're sleeping well, your ability to cope with everyday stresses improves. And finally, we're going to leave you feeling so confident that, cats will run from you.
Thank you.
Maybe true, who knows? Over here.
So, you're getting a list of people from doing your song and dance, your lecture demo, and you're putting them on a list. And then if you use your niche, let's say you're stop smoking. So now they're on your list. Now you're sending them emails about smoking CDs, or would you be...
I can answer this one. Let me have the pen. This one's a little bit more of a slightly advanced campaign strategy, but I think you guys would be ready for it. So let's say I do stop smoking, right? So I now have a...
You may want to write that down because some people may misunderstand that sign.
Oh, right, you're right, okay. Stop smoking.
Not that kind of hypnosis, folks, all right? You must grow very short mustaches.
Right, so I now have a list of stop smoking clients. Maybe some of them have purchased something for me, maybe not. But oftentimes, especially on Igor's really nice How to Make a Lot of Money with Hypnosis, is that the title of it? Buy it now. You'll find that when you start to work with clients, they always have other issues around the issue that they come to you with, right?
Yeah.
You guys see this commonly, right? Someone comes to you and says, I'm depressed, but they also need 12 other things behind it sometimes even before you can get to the depression in that case.
With smoking, for example, typically it'll be stress, it'll be confidence, self-esteem, things like that, or even sometimes just the introspection, the ability to just tune out for the world for a while.
Yep.
Those are all extra things that they think they get out of smoking.
Yep. So one of the things that I do for my clients who have already purchased a stop smoking program from me is I know that they have these other issues. And in fact, on my intake forms, I have checked the boxes and it said, I know they have anxiety. I know they deal with this. I know they deal with that. Well, I've taken care of the behavior. I've taken care of that smoking no longer is the result of anxiety for this person. But I know that they still have to deal with maybe stress at work or anxiety or any sort of other issues that smokers will present. So what I do is I take this list and I will campaign them on a separate campaign. So the first one, just because it's easy, might be stress. So they're already stopped smoking clients, but I can say, you know what? I know that you guys really liked my Stop Smoking program. If you've stopped smoking, congratulations, good for you. But you still might deal with stress in your work, in your home life, something else. By the way, I have a product that helps you with stress, and I'll campaign them with a few emails and then send them straight to a stress product that I have already available for download on my website, or that they can come in and actually see me and get. It really just depends on the options, and there are many. And then if they're not interested in that, for instance, maybe that person doesn't have stress issues, I'll go with the next one on the list. So let's choose
anxiety.
Let's do an niche it even down. Instead of anxiety, how about social anxiety?
Yep.
So, someone's awkward in social situations, and in order to cope with that in the past, they used to smoke. Well, now they still feel a little bit awkward in social situations. I may have given them some resources during a session or something like that to help them a little bit, but maybe some people on this list still have some social anxiety. So again, I'll campaign those people. And I'll send them to a product that I've created beforehand, and they can decide to purchase that if they wish. And if they don't want that one, well, they go into the next campaign, and the next campaign, and the next campaign. And once I've taken care of any issues, I can go toward the other end of the spectrum, which I like to do, which is performance enhancement. Aha. So, you've taken care of a lot of their issues. People don't necessarily want to talk about their problems all the time. They want to improve what they like about themselves. So maybe there's a confidence or a happiness or a, creativity program that you can
improve
create.
memory or learn faster.
Any number of things. And I'm sure you guys, with a few minutes of brainstorming, can come up with stuff like that. But I keep campaigning, and I relate it back to the original list of where they came in. And I can say, remember when you stopped smoking? Also, awesome, congratulations for you. I'm glad that you're getting healthy. Wouldn't you rather, instead of, being like you are now, get rid of some stress? And once I've gotten rid of all these things, how about, you can feel really confident in social situations? Or how about you can be creative? Any number of issues that you can either take them away from their problems or help them go toward their goals is a really great way to campaign a list with these products. And you can start to stick those in as a strategy based on the type of list that you start out with. Does that make sense?
So there's this simple idea of how to plug products strategically into your business machine. Does that become clear now? So we've just gone up until this point. We've really focused on how to get people on the list so we can convert those people on the list into hypnotherapy clients, right? Now we're basically branching out the tree. The hypnotherapy clients might be your first point of contact, but then you now branch out into other things you can do with them, and that's what really today is all about. And also bear in mind, you can switch that picture around. If you imagine turning that around as a dial, instead of having hypnotherapy being the first point of contact, it might be a CD that's the first point of contact, and then you build them into the hypnotherapy program. Or it might be a seminar that's the first point of contact, and then you build them into the hypnotherapy program or the CDs and so on. So this is a dial that you can turn around based on whatever lifestyle that you want to develop for yourself. If you're getting confused as to where do you start, my recommendation is you keep it simple and you build it into the hypnotherapy program is the first thing you do. CDs might be the second thing you do, and then you start spreading into the other things in terms of your campaigns and so on. It just keeps it a very simple strategy for you. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can align all these different possibilities in a way that configures perfectly for what you're trying to achieve. Make sense, everyone? We'll start here, we'll move back, and then we'll come over to you.
So essentially, you're going to have a specific campaign and sales page for each individual
Yep.
products.
Everything has its own. Here's a rule of thumb. The more choice you give someone, the more confusion there will be, and confusion leads to basically inertia, exactly. You'll stay, you know what, I'm not getting anything. I'll make my mind up. What they'll say to themselves is, I'll think about this later, and later will never come. Right? So each of these items, each of these emails will lead to a separate sales page. And they don't have to be these 15,000 page monsters, right? You're just going to follow the same protocol we did yesterday, the letter to a friend, right? Can you think about, a person that is stressed in their life, or maybe even better, someone who used to smoke and now is a happy non-smoker, but still has stress in their life, right? And when thinking about that person, can you write them a nice friendly letter showing them that you have something that can really genuinely help them? And that's really a simple process. I mean, how long did it take you guys to write the letter to a friend yesterday? 20 minutes, right?
Or so.
Add another 20 minutes you put it away and you'll polish it again for 20 minutes. It will not be the world's greatest sales letter, which is fine. It doesn't have to be. It'll be the world's most competent sales letter. It's just good.
And it will be better than most other hypnotherapists.
It'll be miles better than most other hypnotherapists, right? So you can knock out a lot of these letters very easily as you develop your products just by going through that client profile, product, letter. You throw that letter up. WordPress is really easy to use for those sort of things. And then you can build your system. You've all been on our list for at least a while, right? Have you noticed that every time you get an email from us for a product, it takes you to one page? There is no way out of that page unless you leave it by closing it down or you click on the Buy Now button. Those are the only two options you really have, right?
And if you try and click out of it, sometimes it's like, are you sure you want to leave?
That's a slightly more advanced strategy, but if you've got the IT know-how for it, it can be very useful, right? So does it make sense to you guys? It's a very, very simple strategy. All you're doing is, do you guys know what a fractal is? Right? It's basically when the more you, like a coastline, it looks kind of edgy on the outside, and the more you zoom in, the more the same pattern repeats itself over and over again. This business is a fractal business, right? On the big scale, you have your four key things, products, one-to-one sessions, group sessions, and seminars. And as you zoom into each one of those, again, that same pattern repeats itself smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to the point of one email, one sales page. Does that kind of make sense to you guys? Do you appreciate the simplicity and beauty, should we say, of a simple system like this, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, real quick. So the sales page for your stop smoking list would include the fact that they've stopped smoking or they're
It can include that
It can.
if you want to be that specific. Otherwise, what you can do is you can put the smoker-specific stuff in the email, and the sales page is a general stress relief sales page because they've already been primed or pre-framed by your email.
That makes sense. Okay.
That's a simpler way of doing it. But you could literally create 10 different stress relief pages for different parts of your list. It's a much more involved and elaborate process, and you're going to have to make a judgment call between how much time and energy you have for that. And I suspect you won't do that. I would probably recommend against it for now.
Yeah, I would not recommend that right now.
Unless you have a team of copywriters writing it for you, but then that's cash involved there.
Assuming you've been running, say, the non-smoking campaign and you're coming up to now the smoking CD offer, would you ever link it into, say, a non-offer offer? So you're saying we've got the CD, it's $40, as against our normal sessions, which are $400. But just for today, you can also have the smoking and the CD for the $400.
Sure.
So they can buy one or the other.
You can create all kinds of deals. Just follow your instincts. We're constantly creating different packages and different deals. We'll talk more about that. I think it's the next session that we do programs. Yeah. So we'll talk more about that in the next session, how to package things together. But yeah, it's an absolutely good strategy.
Yeah, the non-deal deal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a non-deal
Well, no,
deal.
I mean,
It is
obviously,
actually a
if
deal.
there's 400 without the CD and 400 with,
yeah,
no
it's
one's
just a
going to
bonus.
pick the without.
It's just the bonus, which is just adds a sweetener to the whole transaction,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, thank you.
We'll go very quickly here because this happens to be then, and we'll come back to you, I promise.
So if a client ordered, for example, stop smoking product, how do they go to another list? For example,
with Aweber, you will have to switch them manually.
Okay.
You'll have to create a new list of, and this is the list of people who've been through the hypnotherapy stop smoking session, but haven't bought anything else yet, and then they go in there. Then once they buy, let's say, the stress relief, you'll pull them out of that list and put them into those people who have done hypnotherapy and bought the stress CD, but nothing else. It can get very complicated because Aweber is a little more clunky that way, unless you know a way around
they've
that.
actually updated it since you guys have used it.
Really?
And that some of those things have become more automated.
Oh, there you go. So just learn
So the people,
Aweber a bit more.
the people, you don't have to contact the people from, please
No,
put
no,
yourself
no.
on this list now.
Oh, God,
no.
You can segment your list internally as you
Okay,
need to.
I got it.
People will never,
You
pretty
pass
much
the-
people will never know what list they're truly on. You could have 10 lists that they're on and run 10 campaigns at the same time. I wouldn't recommend that, but yeah, you can put them in many different lists, and Aweber will, they have, I think they call them triggers that will automatically, if someone like clicks on a link from this campaign, will send them into a separate list, and you can do all sorts of stuff. Infusionsoft is what Igor and Street Hypnosis use, and that one definitely does that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to investigate the tool and
just see what possibilities are there.
See
When we
what's
were there,
there.
it was much
Yeah.
more manual. It sounds like more automation has been built in now, which is great for you guys. But you'll have to learn the tool to do that.
But if they clicked and bought, there's nothing that automatically lets your list know that.
Well, that's something, if they've clicked and bought, you need to check with Aweber to see how automatic that becomes.
Yeah.
That's
There
one of
are-
the reasons we use Infusionsoft, which, as he mentioned, is
there are
called
other
Infusionsoft.
tools that Aweber works with, like shopping cart tools that can talk to Aweber in the background. Like, you know, the shopping cart software talks
So
to the Aweber
you can
software.
get as complex as you want, but
Yeah.
you'll have a learning curve to understand the new tool. And until then, start off manually, which is more time and effort.
Yeah.
But it's simpler.
But I actually recommend it because then you know exactly how the business starts to flow.
Yeah.
And then when you put those automated systems in, if and when they break down, you'll know how to do it manually if you have
Exactly.
to, and you'll know how those systems plug together. So you'll know if buying investment in some software is actually doing what it, you know, is worth what it costs you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Over here.
I had sort of two questions. One is, when you're doing your lecture demo, would it be good or bad to do like back of the room sales for some of
Perfect.
these
Yep.
products?
Have them all
To get
lined
them
up.
also on the list.
Yep.
Have them all lined up. Yep. Have them all lined up. I mean, there's a couple of ways you can deal with this. And again, you guys have absolute freedom, right? I'll definitely have the free list so that I can get their email address. Some people will just you can bring, for example, a laminate with a nice picture of what the CD might look like and say, I will email you these are MP3 downloads only, but here's what they look like. So they have something physical to play with. You still get their email address then, you see.
Sure.
Or you can actually bring physical CDs. People like having physical stuff to take home. It'll be a little harder to justify getting the email address. Although I guess you could say, you know, we guarantee the quality of this. Please put your email address on this list so that if there's any problems with a CD, we can, you know, I think we can contact you. You can contact us. You're in our database, and we'll know, yes, you bought this at this time, and you know, we can give you a replacement CD very quickly, right?
Always
That might be
get
a
them
nice
on
way
your
to-
list if you can.
The list,
Always.
the list is worth 100 CDs. Sure. Well, unless they're really expensive CDs, in which case you might make a judgment call.
The other
go on.
part of the question was on your, your Street Hypnosis has a main website that has a list of your products, and then when you have your different campaigns, they only take you to a single page.
Single page,
Should
yeah.
you still have on your main website some products
So
that you carry, or
this
should
this
you
main website, the
not do
idea
that
is
starting
called
out?
a catalog website, which lists all the things. Believe it or not, our website does not have a full catalog. It's been very slowly updated because we're basically building all the back pages first. And one day we may end up having a catalog. I would not worry about the catalog until you're at a size level where it starts making more sense. So initially, you want to control the flow of information. So if you're gonna put together a catalog website, by all means do so, but just realize it's pretty much wasted effort until you get a very high traffic on your list. In other words, you're constantly emailing your list with lots of different things, and people want to basically spend money more quickly than you can contact them.
Yeah.
Then it becomes worthwhile having a catalog.
Thank you.
Catalog's an option. I still recommend individual sites
Yeah.
and pages. It's just they convert and work better. You're in the mindset of, you know, but I'll lose a client who wants to look through all my other products. and I can almost guarantee you that almost never happens. There will be a few people out there that they go, oh, I want to see everything you have, and I'll buy 5 or 6 of them, and you might lose those clients if you don't have a catalog website. It's your option. It's your business. Create whatever you wish. But in my experience, and I think in Igor's experience as well, he'll agree, is that campaigning and having a single thing for them to do, one thing, either you leave or die and get off my list, or you buy. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the catalog just gives them too many choices.
Yeah. So pass it on round. I think it goes, Gabe was here, and then we'll come forward.
Also, just with getting people on your list when they're actually purchasing a product, Igor, I believe you have your form has an email, always has a little email section. Please enter your email here. But also, if you're just getting if you're going to purchase a digital product at that time, and you're still using an order form anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. I strongly recommend, if you're going to sell products in the back of the room, you've got a template for it right now. Use an order form, even if you only have 2 products, because you get some very important information here, right? And then you can put them in the system, you can keep in touch with them, because let's face it, no list, no business, right? Repeat after me. No list, no business, right? You want to drill into, Cliff loves to say, and I think it's very true, if his house burned down, right, and he had time to save one thing, it would not be the pet, it would be the database with a list on it, right? Because that is the business. It does not matter how many products you lose, you can recreate those. It does not matter how many websites you lose, you can recreate those. It does not matter what you lose, but the list is the one thing that takes the most time and effort to create. So there's no list, no business. You focus on, you cherish that list like your most cherished. It's the goose that lays the golden egg, right? If you do not feed it, if you do not care for it, it will die, and there will be no more golden eggs. And you'll be very sad. And I'll be very mad with you. And that's bad. And I can't add anything to that.
Good, I'm glad.
And
very quickly gone.
If for whatever reason they haven't placed their email address and they're making a purchase, they're already sort of in the yes mentality already.
For sure.
So if you take a moment just to look at the form and make sure the email address is there or not, and if it's not there, you can just say, oh, by the way, what's your email address? And they're already thinking of, oh yeah, I'm going to get this awesome product. So they'll gladly put their email on if you ask.
So let's get a little bit off the sales process, otherwise we'll lead into the whole, the idea is how to create a product, and there's a lot of content we're going to get out. Yeah. So is it okay we pause the sales process stuff here? Because you pretty much have a good handle enough on that, and I'd rather focus on actually creating these products rather than just telling you, here's how they work, and haha, unlucky you don't know how to make them because we have no time. Is that cool with you guys? All right. So you get this whole process here, and we have a whole list of potential products. So then the question arises, which is, what do you make? What kind of products do you make? Essentially, there's 3 styles of products that you can make, and they have different ways of manifesting in the real world, right? You can have audio products, video products, or text-based products. So audio products, very simply, well, you all know about the idea of CDs, right? You can also have digital CDs, not again, come on, which are called MP3s. And there may be other ways to deliver these things, over iTunes and all kinds of different stuff. But these are the basic audio products you can have. You can also do, phone sessions and teleconferences and so on. Those are things that you can read up about if you want. But for now, let's keep it real simple, if that's okay with you guys, and just keep audio products in that level. Sound good? Video works exactly the same way. You can have DVDs. You can have something cheaper called CD-ROMs, which is basically video files like an AVI file, or right now MP4 is the standard since Apple has decided to trash all other standards. And you can put the video clips on the CD itself, and then they just basically play the video clip on their laptop, which most people now have, or they can play it on their device like an iPhone or a tablet or whatever, right? So this is for the more technically minded audiences, otherwise it's okay. The Mind Game Magic Deck has a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM rather than actually a DVD that plays in the player. And of course, the final one is, well, we'll call it a digital video. Digital, there we go. The standards for the digital videos changed much more than for the audios, or at least they have historically. It used to be that AVI files were the things to go for. Then people went for FLV or SWF files, and now it happens to be MP4. Some people are saying it's MOV. Anyone here getting confused by all these acronyms, right? So let me make it real easy for you guys. If you want to go for downloadable videos, currently the industry standard, the one that virtually every player will open and know how to deal with, is called MP4, which is great because we have the MP3 right underneath, above that, right? So this is the cousin to the MP3, it's just one step higher, right? And I warn you, this may well change as industry standards change, so you have to keep a little bit updated with the technology, but that should be really straightforward because if you have a device already, you'll know that suddenly you've got to switch formats, right? For text, again, you can have, you can have physical and you can have digital, right? And a physical text could be large, which is a book. It could be informal, which would be a manual. Or it could be smaller, which would be a report, right? And these three things, if you put the word E in front of it, suddenly becomes digital. An e-book, an e-manual, and an e-report. The simplest standard for a digital product here is called PDF. You don't need to know what the acronym stands for. You probably all use PDFs. If you've had any contact with our products, you will have used a PDF because that's how we deliver most of our written text. And these are great because you can do all the formatting and so on, and pretty much every viewer will watch it, see it in exactly the same way. And you should all be able to get access to a free PDF converter if you're using whatever text version you use. Most people will probably use Word. Will convert to a PDF like that. It's real simple. It'll take you 5 minutes to learn. So it's a very simple way of creating an E version of text, right? In terms of dollar values, perceived value, here's something crazy, actually. Let's do it this way. We'll have book, manual, report. We'll put the E here, right? So these are the same thing, just electronic versions, right? Here's a crazy thing. This is starting to change a little bit now since Amazon came online, but ebooks tend to still sell for more than physical books. And as a rule, the reason for that is because the knowledge is more niched, and the more niched your know-how is, the higher the price tag for it becomes. Does that make sense? So the smaller defined your audience is, the more they tend to be willing to pay for it. And traditionally, ebooks have cost more than print books, because in order to be printed, it needs to have a wider appeal. But again, the distinction is starting to erode, so I don't know how long that will last, right? Physical goods, otherwise, overall, will have a higher perceived value than digital goods, right? Or actually, this is the digital goods right here. And video has a higher perceived value than audio, right? So the ranking is, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, and then for these two, physical is higher than digital, and for these two, actually weirdly, electronic digital tends to be higher perceived value than physical. It's a weird sort of thing. I'm not quite sure how that works, but go ahead.
No, that's it.
So you get the idea of the delivery mechanisms you can have available to you. This is really not difficult. Which do you choose? Really, how long is a piece of string? Say again?
Oh,
over here or over here?
So
this is 1, this is 2, this is 3.
As a rule for the audio and video,
so let me double
physical
up
is going to be more perceived value, and digital will be.
So the double circles are more perceived value, and the digital are less perceived values. And then these guys here get a double circle for some reason. This is one of the quirks of history of how the internet worked. And in terms of these three, video, audio, and text, that's the order in which you can price things. Okay? Does this make sense to you guys?
Yeah. And
Again,
I think about the value this way. The more that they can perceive is going to be the higher value. So if they can see you, that's a really high value. And they can hear you, that's a little bit less. But if they can only read what you just said, that's going to be because it's the lowest.
The way to think about it is, how personal is it?
Right. How much of an experience do they get to have?
Exactly. A phone call is more personal than a video, so they will pay more for a phone call than for a video. A one-to-one session is more personal than a phone call, so hence they'll pay more for a one-to-one session than for a phone call. Do you see how that kind of works? Do you see the transaction there? I just thought a nice little acronym here. For those of you from the UK, sorry Americans, doesn't work for you guys.
VAT.
VAT. That's the order in which it works. There you go. Anyone outside the UK will have no idea what that means, but actually you guys have VAT, because you guys have little vats of beer and whatever, right? So Americans get drunk, English people, you're stuffed, you have to pay taxes. So get the idea here? Yes? Okay. So let's move swiftly on. Let's have a quick look.
So it's going to be useful to you guys to know how to create this stuff, right?
Yeah?
Would you like to know that now?
Yes.
Should I take them through creation, or should I do it quickly?
Go ahead.
All right. All right, so there are two simple ways to create a product. And this is particularly, we'll talk about digital, written stuff in a minute. For video and audio, there's two simple ways to create it. The simplest of them all is what's happening right now. You do it live, and you record it. It's done. 2 for 1, right? You do a lecture demo, you record the lecture demo, have someone, and by the way, with video, the most important part is audio. I'll show you how to create a very, very cheap video camera. Most of you in this room probably already have a video camera right now that will record you a DVD, and you don't even realize it, right?
So I have something really quick to add.
Sure.
First, check with the lawyer again.
Oh, yes.
Always record everything that you do. Always, always, always.
If other people are involved, and they should be, you want to have an AV release, the kind of form you signed when you signed up for this seminar. Have an AV release. Some people, for some reason in Europe, people tend to be a little bit more sketchy about this sort of stuff. You just need to make it very clear, no AV release, no seminar. And if you don't want to play the game, that's okay. I respect your needs for privacy, totally. And the choice you have, you sign the AV release and hide in the corner so you're not on camera, or I'll refund you your money and have a nice life, right? You have to play the game on your terms. It doesn't mean you have to be, unpleasant about it, but do not let other people dictate what your business needs to grow, right? And I would strongly recommend you get those AV releases, and then don't just take them and trash them, store them, right?
Yeah, keep them,
exactly. If you're having problems keeping the physical data, then just get like a little camera or a scanner, scan the things, and then have them filed according to the product. So if anyone ever has a problem with that product, you can just go straight to the file and go, oh, here's your AV release, you signed it.
Yeah.
We
I think
have the
we
right
have
to
one
it.
in the resources.
An AV release?
Yeah.
If we don't,
If we don't, then I'll
add
make
it.
sure that you guys get one. Would that be useful for you guys?
Could you just click a note on the post-it and just write it on my thing so I can add it to the resource guide? There should
Can I
be
grab a pen?
post-it notes around here somewhere.
Thanks.
Thank you. So again? Oh, this is the live event. Like we're doing right now, it's a live event. So let's have a talk about what kind of live events you can do, right? You can have a client come in for a hypnotherapy session. Typically, I'd say, come in for a free session, but I'm going to record it, right? Or maybe have a friend sit them down and do a nice relaxation trance with them. And the only thing you've got to make sure that you do is you don't say anything personal to that person. In other words, if they told you they love teddy bears, and say, and get your little teddy bear out and hug it as you go deeper and deeper into trance, right? Because it's personal information that the audience will not understand. So you have to have a mindset for the ultimate listener as well. But it's real simple. Most of you are hypnotists already, right? Right? So you sit down, the person in the chair, you whack him in trance, you have a nice little recording device ready. We'll talk about technology in a moment. At the end of it, you press stop. Make sure you play start beforehand, right? You say, thank you very much. Did a good job. You're a wonderful subject. Meanwhile, you go home and go, ha, 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 ha. I make my fortunes now. It's very simple, isn't it? Right? The same with video. You do a lecture demo. And especially with people who appreciate what you're doing, maybe going back to a second venue, you say, look, I'll happily come back a second time. It seems like people enjoyed it. Do you mind if I videotape it? Right? And I'll usually say, no, that's fine, no problem at all. Right? In fact, I did this recently. Martin here is one of our trainers in Amsterdam, and he organized his group for me to come in to talk to. I gave him a one-day seminar on how to practice hypnosis without fear, how to find people to practice on for free, and how to start even if you have no experience, how to do it so there's no fear involved, and so on. And I recorded the entire thing on this. DVD quality. I'll talk you through how to do that later on, right? So it is very, very simple to do. Do you understand the idea of doing a live something and recording it, yes? And you have processes. The lecture demo is great for videos, and then your regular hypnosis skills are great for audio. Simple, right? If you've decided you want to do an ebook or something like that, then still record it, take the audio, pay someone to transcribe it. Remember that 5rrrr.com? 20 minutes of audio, $5. That's a pretty good deal, right?
Really good.
So, like an hour of audio will cost you $15. That's nothing. We have paid literally thousands of dollars on transcriptions, thousands of them. Sure, you may need to clean up a little bit yourself afterwards, but for $15, that is a great deal, right? So now you understand how you create text as well very quickly, yes? There are other strategies. I'm just giving you the simplest, quickest, most time-efficient or cost-efficient versions of them, right? Second version is this is how I prepare most of my products, is the prepared skeleton. In other words, you have your list of notes of things you want to talk about. Typically, the way I portion it, I decide each item I want to talk about will probably last around 5 minutes of talking if I'm talking about the conscious mind stuff. And even in an introduction, I can riff around a particular idea or theme for 2 to 5 minutes. And then I'll just have a simple list. For an hour, I'll need somewhere between 7 to 10, maybe 12 items, depending on how much I want to speak on each one. So I have my list of 12 items, have a little list in front of me. I just start talking. I talk about the first thing. When I'm done, I'll talk about the second thing. Then I talk about the third thing, right? You can still use your lecture demo process if you like to do that. It's just a little bit, some people find it a little bit easier. Some people find it a little bit harder to do it without an audience. I prefer with an audience. It's just much more natural for me. But if I'm doing it without an audience, I can still do it. I just have to psych myself up a little bit more. But the same process works very, very easily. Just create a little skeleton. I advise against typing up the entire presentation and reading out loud because your voice changes. Can you do it? Absolutely. Does it work? Absolutely. If you want to do it, by all means knock yourself out. In my opinion, it's just a lot more effort than is necessary. Make sense? With inductions, the same thing. An induction, again, you just decide, I typically have just a bullet point of list of like induction, here's a kind of deep no one, here's the first process or frame I want to present, here's a second set of processes or ideas I want to present, here's a little metaphor I'll throw in. And sometimes, actually, to be honest with you, most of the inductions I've done, I basically only had an idea of this is the theme I want to talk about, and I just riffed around it as though I had a real client there, right? I actually, at some point, I will not tell you which induction this is on, but on some of the inductions, I actually put a teddy bear in a chair, and I hypnotized the teddy bear, and that's what you're hearing. So I did a mock live version of it, right? Because my mind works better when there's actually a client there, right? So do you understand how simple it is to create a hypnosis CD, a video, a presentation? All kinds of different products can come out of this very quickly and very easily, right? Any questions on that? Do you want to add anything to that?
Nope.
Okay. And by the way, do not let me put you off writing the entire script out if you want.
Actually,
Go on.
you guys are experiencing this one right now, and
Oh, yeah.
a common one, right? We're working off some notes that we have. They're prepared, you know.
This is the entire day,
we worked on
folks.
this, but that's our skeleton, right?
Right there.
We're talking to you, and we have the key there is that you have the experience, obviously, to talk intelligently about the topic. But that's what we're working off of, is just a few notes on the paper. So you guys are experiencing this right now. This is informative and easy to understand and everything else, right, guys?
Yes. Right.
So do you see how easy that's going to be for you guys to do it yourselves? Yeah, good.
So the next format, very simple. This is great for audio. It's pretty nice for video too. Is do an interview. You can either interview another expert, and believe it or not, their expertise rubs off on you at that point. Or you can flip the script around. You can give someone a bunch of questions to ask. Make sure they're a relatively lively, engaging person, right? And they get to ask you your questions, and you answer them interview style. You have a chat with someone. You just make sure you record that session. That's another great idea for doing a product, right? Anyone here the Hypnosis with the Masters interviews, right? That's a classic interview structure. I've just put a little bit more thought and preparation into it, right? See how that works? And the next one is kind of similar to this, so I'll just leave it within that. just because you're doing you can do either a lecture or you can do a hypnotherapy session, you can also just coach someone and record the coaching. The beauty about coaching someone is a combination of chatting, which is a lecture, and demonstrations, which is you're doing it with that person, and whoever's listening to the induction then gets to have the same experience, right? So you can always sit someone down with some bigger issue and say, let me tell you a little bit about what the problem is with smoking, and literally think about it, a stop smoking session would literally be you talk to the client about some of the problems, some reframes, you do some trance work, and you have a little debrief afterwards, right? So it's a mixture of lecture type stuff and hypnotics type stuff. So that's another way you can do that sort of thing very easily. So who here feels they have some nice, simple processes to start creating products right away? Yeah? Easy? So the next thing we want to do, before we go for a break, there's a question over here somewhere. Sorry, can we have the
I thought
mic
she was
over there?
still raising her hand. She really loved.
Cataleptic.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, I have a question about the physical part of actually recording because I'm...
That's what we're about to come to.
Okay,
Great
good.
question.
Good question.
Would you like me to answer that?
I would love you to answer.
Okay. Can we have some of the pictures up?
Yep.
There are many, many different ways of recording audio and video. You can see we have quite an elaborate setup here. Oh, can we have a mic? Can you just move the mic forward?
Is there a difference in the process knowing you're not being able to read the feedback of your client?
Yes. That's something you just have to deal with.
I mean,
Yep.
is there something specific you do to make them more effective? Do you spend longer on this or that? Or?
You know, my actual live inductions tend to be quite short because I'm working with signals people are giving me. So my recorded inductions will be more language-based, so I'll be speaking more. But other than that, I'll show you guys how to do a group induction later on today. And that's really one of the simplest things you can put straight onto a tape, because if you're doing it with a group, you're no longer working with individual responses, and therefore it's pretty similar to an actual CD at that point. Okay? So, we have this lovely blank page. Or was another question here somewhere?
Oh, just...
we've got it there. Thank you. Good. Yep. Great. Thank you. So now let's talk a little bit about how to record stuff. There are many different things. You get very sophisticated, elaborate stuff. I mean, typically in a seminar, we'll spend, just to record things, between, if it's a smaller seminar, $6,000 up to sometimes $30,000, depending on how much production we're putting into it. And then there's editing on top of that, which will pretty much cost the same sort of stuff again, right? So we don't recommend you start there. We'll show you how to do it in a real simple budget, which will cost you, well, it should be for free for a lot of you because you may have the equipment already handy. Otherwise, it should cost you less than a few $100s to put it all together, right?
Yep.
In terms of what you already have. The first thing you want to think about is recording audio, right? Over here you see a mic, which I recommend. It's the Audio Technica mic. This will be very handy for both audio and video. You see it right here. It's got a very long lead. I could probably plug it into the video camera in the back of the room here. So it leads a very long way, and I can just plug it onto my lapel. It's very simple to talk to. It's a great little mic. It's by no means a perfect mic. You'll hear a little bit of hiss in the background and so on, but it's more than good enough to get started with. And the beauty of this little beast here is, depending on what country you're buying it from, it'll cost you between $20 and $40.
Yep.
Beautiful little thing, works great. Again, it's not a professional radio style mic. It doesn't sound as good as you'd have one of these big constructions. Your voice sounds like rich and mellow and so on, but it will not sound tinny and scratchy or anything like that. It's in between, so it's good enough to get started with. Once you get some cash behind you and you want to create yourself a whole recording studio and glue egg cartons to your wall, by all means do so. Until then, this is a good starting point. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yep.
These are all your resources, so you can kind of look it up, and you can look it up online, very easy to get hold of. The second thing, in terms of recording, again, I'm giving you a little trade secret here. All of our CD, all of our audio products that weren't recorded online via interview style, in other words, it wasn't physically present there, all of our interviews, all of my CDs, inductions, and so on, are recorded on this, the Edirol. I can prove that I actually own one, you see? It's a wonderful little device. It's simple to use. You've got to play around with a couple of buttons on the back a little bit. All you do is you switch them backwards and forwards and record yourself with it this way and that way. So after about 7 tests, you hear which voice you like the best, right? And then you start recording. There's an on and off button, very simple. Allow me to demonstrate. It's turning on now. How exciting is that? Can you all press a button to turn it on? Is that difficult? Not really, right? Then, there's no card in there right now, so probably on record, we'll see. You can put SD cards in here, which is great, because you can have any size card you want, straight into laptop for editing, which we'll talk about later on. It's very simple. Then, there's a big shiny red button in the middle. You press it once, that puts it on standby. I won't press right now because there's no card in it. And you have to press it a second time, it starts recording, then you can just pause the recording, restart the recording, pause the recording. It's easy, really simple to do. And this, by the way, is what I spent a lot of time researching this. This is what a lot of musicians and recording artists will use when they're traveling. I even know some people who record natural sounds for, background sounds and so on, using this little baby here.
It's very, very high quality microphones in there.
This microphone is amazing. There's another one called Zoom, which is a bit bigger and even slightly better than this, a little more complex, but quality-wise slightly better than this and does a few more tricks. But this is wonderful. It's that one up there, the Edirol by Roland, and it's the ROH9 or something. Again, it'll be in your resource guide so you can see it, so you can compare notes there. It's called Zoom, Z-U-O-O-M, I believe. That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly can't recall what I paid for it, but it'll be around $200 mark, something like that. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. This is now a few years old, so it may well be cheaper because of that. So I can't give you a precise price for that.
I would say look around at websites like musiciansfriend.com or in the US it would be, yeah, sure.
Was it the one you used for maybe the CDs?
Yep.
Or Guitar Center.
Sit on my couch. I'll show you how to use it in a second. Let me just get these things up here.
Or my favorite, the Oracle.
Google. That is my friend and mentor.
Google product search will give you a listing and give you some price comparisons and stuff.
Yeah.
Amazon.com.
I was gonna say I buy most of my electronics from Amazon.com.
But if you're looking for specific ones for like audio and video related gear,
yeah,
especially audio, these would be 2 good resources to start with.
Yeah, and this I think will appear on Amazon as well. In fact,
Yeah.
I think I bought this off Amazon. So
Amazon
there's
has everything now.
Potential there.
You know.
So
It has a lot of harder to find specialty stuff.
So yeah, I mean, these are. I don't want to have hard things to find. These are real simple things to find. If you can't find it on Amazon, you probably don't want to buy it yet, right? You may get it cheaper in these places here, so it's worth checking them out. But as I say, I'm a techno idiot, so I get the simplest thing that has the quality that I need. I want the smallest learning curve. Can we have a mic up front here, please? I want the smallest learning curve so that I can do something practical with it, all right?
So, you said that it had great microphones in it. Does that mean that when you use that, you don't attach that lapel microphone?
I'll show you exactly how to use it in a moment, all right? So I will not use this mic for this thing here. I'll show you when I use this mic in a moment. I'm just giving you a little introduction to the pieces and I'll put them together for you. So once again, just to remind you, all my audio products, other than the interviews, because they require an interaction, I basically just use Skype with a headset on that one. All my video or audio products, I use this little thing here. And do you want to see my magic grip for this? Are you ready for this? Yeah. I will sit, sometimes on a couch, sometimes on the floor, sometimes just lean against the wall, who cares? Sometimes I have a little teddy bear and stroke it. I will hold it like this. The top silver bits here are the microphones. What I don't want to do is speak like this because your voice sends out wind, air. And if the wind goes into the microphone, you have what's called plosive and sibilance. It sounds like this all the time. And I am not Lord Voldemort. Yeah.
Doesn't he look more like Harry Potter?
Exactly. I slay the man. So if you have the microphone near to your face, it gets a really nice, rich quality. And all I do is I turn the actual microphone away from the projection of wind from my mouth, so it gets the richness of the voice without any of the sibilance or the plosives and so on. So literally, I will sit here like this. My arm does get a little bit cramped after a while, so I'll kind of loosen it out and I'll come back again and do this. And that's how I've recorded virtually every audio product, except the Power of Conversation Hypnosis. That one I just recorded straight onto a laptop with a classic headset. It was called the Plantronics. I think there were still pretty good ones here. Logitech's another good headset maker. Basically, any USB headsets where you can just plug into your laptop will do beautifully, right? The reason I haven't put them in the resources is because I no longer use them, but Plantronics, and actually, we must write these down.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Thank you. Plantronics and Logitech are two great quality companies for headsets. I'll come to you in a minute. And nowadays, really, a lot of the headsets that come with phones have great mics in them. You can just plug those straight into your laptop as well, and they work just as good, right? I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just go for a decent mid-range Logitech or Plantronics, and you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you guys? You can plug it straight in. We'll give you some software in a moment to think about, and it makes real sense. What's that? Logitech. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's actually the one I used to travel with. I now travel with something much smaller, but again, it's the same sort of idea. It's a beautiful thing. Do you mind if I just bring it up here so I can show people? I actually, for about the first 3 years or so, I traveled with this little baby because I travel a lot and the normal headsets break in the luggage. So this has a nice hard case. In fact, did I recommend this one to you? You did. Yeah. So it folds up really nicely. It has a lead you can put into your regular PC. It also has a converter here, so you can put it into a USB port. This is important for Mac people because Macs hate normal microphones, so they won't accept them. They have a little feud going. And you just unroll this, put it in your head, microphone across. You'll have to play with the mic a little bit again because of that plosive wind sound. But once you've played with it a little bit and you find the position.
Right here is good with these mics.
Yeah, actually, when I played with this one, my personal magic position was very weirdly just above the nose. So there's no wind coming into the mic, but the sound quality was great. But experiment. Some people have it out here, some have it down. You'll have to experiment a little bit, but it's not a difficult thing to do. All you do is you run your recorder, you put it up, put it down, and say above the nose, below the chin, out to the side, right in front, and then you just listen to it and go, oh, horrible. Oh, actually, that's not bad. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
I'll bring this back in a sec. So do you understand in terms of how I use this thing here? And do you guys like the quality of the inductions and the CDs and stuff that we've created? That's what created them. So it's a very powerful little device. Can we have the microphone over here? Just pass it over. Is this stuff useful to you guys? Yeah? Go on.
You know the way you guys, one person talks and the other person
Double
talks?
inductions,
Yeah.
yes.
If you want to do stuff like that or do other creative stuff.
Oh, I've actually
do you
done
do?
that before.
On which bit of technology?
I record my voice, and then I listen to it back as I'm recording another track on my voice, and we'll show you guys how to do that.
Right. So all you do is you'll put on a headphone, you listen to yourself, and you'll weave your own voice in between. Beyond that, it's outside the scope of this program how to do double inductions and so on. But you've got a nice model, and there's a nice system to do it. It's very simple. So hopefully that helps, okay?
Just record yourself once, and then record yourself in the spaces, and you're good.
Did you move it back over here?
Another incredibly easy way to do that is if you have a Mac, you can just use GarageBand and alter
and we'll show
what
you how to do
side.
that.
We'll come on to that in a moment.
Just a second.
Sorry, jeez.
It's okay. It's all one step at a time. So do you get the idea of the Adderall? It's a very simple, useful device. You don't need it. You can actually just use a simple mic like this or a simple mic like the Plantronics, plug it into your laptop, and the Power of Conversation Hypnosis was recorded with that, and it does a perfectly adequate job. I just gone up a little step in grade. So the next thing here is this wonderful thing called an iPhone, right? The reason this is beautiful is not only does that have has a voice recorder, a built-in voice recorder. I use a slightly different one, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. But it has an amazing video camera. The 4S shoots what's called HD quality video, which basically means, you know those big flat screen TVs that normally makes old 80s CDs or DVDs look terrible? It looks great on those screens, and that's about as demanding a screen as you can get, right? So this will record DVD quality video, which is phenomenal, right? We have a little plastic case, as you can see here. You can get lots of different kinds. You can screw in a tripod. It sits up like this, bang, right? And it will record a beautiful shot. You can do your entire seminar. And what I do is, the only thing with this thing here, because Mac hates mics, remember that? Mac hates mics.
Only for you. I've never had a problem.
Well, you have to have special mice. You have to have the actual O-ring, especially on this thing here. So there's a conversion cable. Again, your resources.
I'll put that up too.
Your resource guide will tell you what it's called and where you find it. This little thing adapter here just goes into the headphone jack, and it will turn regular powered mics like this one here into something that will record on this. So you haven't seen the video yet, but actually, I think Cliff may have released it. I did a demonstration of the non-awareness set, which I recorded and edited on this thing here. I plugged this thing into the phone jack, into the headphone jack here. I plugged the microphone into this thing here, clipped it on myself. At the time, I didn't have a tripod yet, although tripods, they cost you $30. Really, they're quite cheap. Yeah. Martin over there sat in the back of the room, had a little handy grip.
Kung Fu grip right there.
Here's the Kung Fu grip. You have to hold it nice and solid, and then you lock it into your body like that, and you hold it like this. You can hold it solidly for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you don't get all that crazy shaking stuff going on. And we recorded the entire, was it 20-minute session, something like that, on this little thing here. And I even had an iMovies app for the iPhone. I edited it straight away. Done, ready to go. It's beautiful. Really simple to do. If you want a resource that'll teach you all about how to shoot videos on the iPhone, and you can actually create a parallel track to things like Google phones and stuff like that as well. Although you'll have to play around a bit to make it work. Sure. What I use, I've actually become a member of this site. This guy is amazing. I really like him.
First one is iVideoHero.com and iPhoneVideoHero.com.
Yeah, this is his actual website, but for some reason it doesn't load if you type it in directly sometimes. So iPhone Video Hero goes straight to his sales page and so on. This guy's amazing. I really like him. If you do take up his offer, that actually it's quite a insanely cheap offer he has. It's less than $100. It's like more like in the $80 range or something like that. He might be doing a deal. He does them from time to time. If you do take it up, just say hi to Jules from me, because I told him I'd be telling you guys about it. Mm-hmm. This guy is an ex-BBC editor and director, right? So he, like the BBC News is supposed to be this big global thing. He has shot professional video his entire life. He knows it inside out. And this thing here, you don't get necessarily the entire, video production training, because that's kind of a lot. But you learn. I have learned so much from him about lights you can use, about how to set yourself up so the shadows don't come out across there, how to set up some certain shots, make them simple and elegant, how to use your iPhone properly, all this technical equipment like the microphone and the jack and so on. He talks about all these things there. So it's a wonderful little training. It's very cheap. If you want to create video, especially with your iPhone, if you have it, then this guy here will teach you everything from A to Z. It's a wonderful little program, and it's very easy to digest, because he's got basically, probably about 30 little videos. Each one's about 5 to 10 minutes in length, so not very long. You just watch it and go, oh, I get it. So you instantly understand how lights work and why you don't want to have different kinds of lights mixing with each other, right? Real quickly to understand how to set up a shot, how to edit the video afterwards, all these little things, simple, quick, and easy. So I strongly recommend, if you're interested in doing any kind of video, this guy here will show you how to do that. Okay, guys? Very quick few questions, and then we'll probably take a break at that point.
Any hardware recommendations if you don't have an iPhone?
Hardware-wise, yeah. The one I used to shoot with was called a Kodak ZI-8. I don't think they make them anymore, but you might be able to find them still on Amazon for the moment. And they're constantly changing. ZI-8. They're constantly changing technology. A simple little handy cam will be fine. Just check online what the reviews are about the quality of it. And can you plug, and the important thing is, can you plug in an external microphone? Does it have something you can plug an external microphone in? Because as Joe here shared with me, and I think that's the most brilliant phrase. Do you want to tell them the phrase about?
The most important portion of video is the audio.
And I say amen to that. We have had people screw up our audio on DVDs, and it's terrible. It's very frustrating when that happens, right? So hence, the only camera worth investing in is one you can put an external mic in, and something as simple as this is just perfect. Something as simple as this. And you can get some pretty cheap cameras nowadays. They used to make the flip cameras. Again, someone's bought them out and crashed them. But all the sort of flip, Kodak was like a flip camera type thing. You can still get sub $100 cameras that shoot in HD. What you're looking for is this quality here, right? Doing it again. HD quality is the magic mark you're looking for, right? So the format's irrelevant. It's just a question of you need to make sure that the format it comes out in is a format that you can edit yourself, or you can send to an editor to edit for you. So you have to do a little bit of research on that, right? Most cameras nowadays will shoot in either AVI format, MP4 format, or MOV format. And AVI is kind of dying slowly. So MP4 and MOV tend to be pretty solid at the moment, although AVI can still be pretty good. Okay? Over here.
So on the iPhone, how long could you record?
Depends on what size iPhone you have. I have a 16 gig, and I've worked out I can record at least an hour safely, and I can probably go as far as 90 minutes with it. And then and that's when it's totally empty, and then I have to empty it all out and start again, right? Yeah. So when I recorded the Fearless Hypnosis, which was an entire day, I'd record a session, would have a break. During the break, I would download it all to the laptop, then clear the phone to record the next session, and so on. Make sense?
Is that the biggest iPhone?
No, the 32 gigs is the biggest one, and then you can get
64 is
64 is the biggest one. So you get a lot of video on that. The caution I would say, though, is you still want to interrupt the videos after every 60 to 90 minutes. So the file size itself, you don't want to have it crashing on you if the software can't handle it. Yeah. So you can carry on shooting more video on it. It's just, pause it after 60 to 90 minutes and then start it again for crashing reasons, for security reasons. All right? There's a question back then, and I think we'll call it a break. Hello.
I've been working for Canon, selling cameras and video cameras for 9 years.
Canon's
so
a great one.
you can come up and ask me afterwards.
That's actually the one that I use for myself. I have a
So
Canon.
what I want to
Vixia.
say is that if you go today and buy a model that's like 2 years old or 1 year old or from now, and you buy a Sony or Canon or a Fuji, one of the
big companies,
you can just buy an ordinary compact camera. For example, a Canon, it's a power shot, and pay $100, and you'll get really nice quality. So,
I agree.
You get really good quality.
Yeah. The standard today is really
huge,
awesome.
Yep.
So, you don't have to go out and spend.
Yeah,
No.
you don't need the newest
No.
cameras. In many cases, you're right. You can
And
buy
what
a
is
year or two old.
what is good about it? Some of the compact cameras really also have nice audio, but you can just read the reviews.
Read the reviews. That's important.
Yeah, and there's also a web page called DP Preview.
Yep.
It's a fantastic website.
Okay, so you get the idea of the technology that's available and you can use. I'd recommend, unless you already have something like an iPhone because that's part of your daily business, that you only look to spend around $100 for a decent quality camera, maybe a little bit more. And even for the audio, I wouldn't even get the big audio for a while. Just record it straight into your laptop with a headset for, Plantronics will cost you a little bit more. The Logitech might cost you $50 or $40. So keep it as cheap as possible to start with. When you get more cash, you can get more elaborate with it. Make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Everyone feel good? All right, let's have a very quick one, and we'll have a break.
Just a quick comment. I shot a feature film last year on a Canon D7.
Yeah.
It shoots 1080p. And
It's beautiful.
You can do a feature film with this stuff now. It looks like an SLR, but it'll shoot a couple
great
hours.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so you get the idea that there's some good stuff out there for you guys. Let's take 15-minute breaks. We'll be back here, and then we'll have some more fun and mayhem.